The 2026 NBA draft is here. First round complete, second round tomorrow. Welcome to the Casual Observer. This is the NBA edition of the pod, of course. Let's dive in. Round one started as normally as you could expect. DeBancer went first to the Wizards, and the posturing that they were going to take Peterson was just that. I think they were trying to draw as many assets out of Utah as possible, mainly to try and get DeBancer. We all know the connection of BYU and Utah, so Utah invested a lot of assets in DeBancer, and it's not going to work out for them at this current stage. So DeBancer's going to Washington. Washington's just had the Trae Young signing, 4 years, $212 million. Might straight away be the worst contract in the league. I'm sure Washington fans are trying not to think that way, but anyway, we'll get to that later. But yeah, DeBancer goes first, amazing pick. Peterson goes second to the Jazz. He only worked out for the Wizards, but again, that's a bit more posturing going on. And straight into the fact that Utah now have had back-to-back selections in the top 5 of players that didn't want to go there. So it was Ace Bailey and now Darren Peterson. 2 great picks, and it looks like the Utah Jazz are going to have a real solid, 8-man lineup at least. They've got, Kessler, as long as they re-sign him, Kessler Walker, Triple J, Larry Marketing, Darren Peterson, Keontae George, projected starting 5, Ace Bailey off the bench, Bryce Sensabaugh, and I'm pretty sure they will end up with maybe a couple of fringe signings around the side. I'm sure I've forgotten someone like Filipowski, if you want to count him. But they go deep. How good they're going to be is interesting because it's a very deep conference. But it looks amazing on paper. And for the first time in about 4 years, they won't be tanking down the stretch. So great pick. Again, I thought Peterson has the highest upside in this draft. It makes sense for the Washington Wizards to take the safe pick, considering they've never had the number 1 pick before now. Cam Boozer, the Grizz, makes perfect sense. High IQ player. We just saw Jalen Brunson win the championship with high IQ and not an exorbitant amount of athleticism. So he goes 3. Great player, great pedigree, always wins wherever he goes. And the Memphis Grizzlies need some of that because coming out of the Ja Morant era, and Ja Morant's still up in the air what he's going to be doing, as are the Grizz with what they can get for him. It's a great way to kind of go with Cam Boozer and Cedric Coward, Zach Edey, and who they picked later in the draft, Kareem Lopez. So there's some real positivities coming out of this now for the Grizz. They're into their new era straight away. Got heaps of value for Bane, heaps of value for Triple J, and Boozer. Love that pick there. And Caleb Wilson rounds out the top 4. These are the expected top 4. Great player, great defensive instincts, great around the rim. Reminds me a lot of Evan Mobley. Just needs to develop a bit more of a consistent outside game. For the Bulls, Josh Giddey loves throwing the lobs. As we projected, this is the pick there, and it all makes perfect sense along with Buzelis, Asenge, and Nick Claxton. So, Bulls are doing good things for the first time in a long time. Look, it's easy to make the comparisons. Boozer's a little bit like Kevin Love, but maybe a little bit more off the dribble kind of juice. Darren Peterson looks honestly just like Kobe Bryant and a bit of a laser with the 3. So, great there. DeBancer's a bit of a hard one to pick, what he looks like. A bit of Andrew Wiggins, but way better. Or at least the Wizards hope so. It's none of these, they're all going to be their own players. Number 5, the Clippers didn't trade down. They stayed at 5. They got Keaton Wagler. I think he's 6'5", good shooter. Just needs to increase that processing speed, but a good off guard to Darius Garland. So now there's Garland, Wagler. If they bring Ben Mathurin back, Kawhi, Niederhausen, the Clips are moving into another era pretty quickly and pretty well here. So that was an amazing trade done with Zubats, and we're hearing some noise that Kawhi Leonard might be getting shopped at the moment. So what kind of value he'll bring, who knows? But I think a straight up swap for Jaylen Brown is certainly on the cards. and we'll get into that later as well. Mikal Brown Jr., I had him mocked at 5, but he went to the Brooklyn Nets. We all thought the Nets were going to take Acuff at 6, but no, Mikal Brown Jr., and that's another. You couldn't go wrong with those 2 picks. So they went with the slightly longer size, a little less juice off the dribble, but a bit more shooting and a bit more defensive prowess. Yes, there's the questions around his back, but you're going to hope that the guy who, as I said last time, most males don't stop growing until they're 25. Let's just hope that's sorted when he's fully grown. The Sacramento Kings didn't need to trade up to get their man. They stayed at 7 and they got Darius Acuff Jr. If there's one thing the Sacramento Kings do well, it's drafting point guards. It's De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, and now Darius Acuff Jr. So they have literally nothing else on that roster that is slightly intriguing. So Darius Acuff is the bridge to the future and going to be selling out stadiums because he's electrifying to watch. And as I said, he was up there for me in terms of higher ceiling. So yeah, 7 was the safe pick for him, but geez, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the 3rd best player when this is all said and done. Of course, the Kings have, Devin Carter, Nick Clifford, Maxime Reynaud, and Keegan Murray, but yeah, I'd say Darius Acuff is by far the most exhilarating, most fun, highest potential kind of guy so far on that roster. So great pick there. Well done to the Kings for not fucking this up. 8, Atlanta Hawks. They took Kingston Flemings, and I had him mocked a little lower, but only because of his size. And so, look, he's got a great man to learn from in CJ McCollum. And look, if you can get that value at number 8, why wouldn't you? I had Mara mocked here, and the funny part is that it looked like they were going to get LeBaron Philon at 23. Philly took him at 22. We'll get to that, but it looked like you could have had the big man first, and then you could have had Philon later in the draft, but didn't quite work out that way. So I'm glad. I reckon they're glad they took Kingston Flemings. So they've got that guard of the future sitting right there. As I said, they've already made moves with Aaron Wiggins. So Hawks are moving into a win now phase. Kingston Flemings, hopefully by the time CJ McCollum gets old enough and starting to wear out, he's ready to take the reins of this team. What that means for Dyson Daniels, I mean, Kingston Flemings would want to develop into a good shooter. Otherwise, one of them's got to go. Number 9, look, they just hired, the Dallas Mavericks just hired Dusty May from Michigan, and first move is to draft a Michigan big, Merez Johnson Jr. Great pick. We all thought that was going to be Braden Burries to go alongside, Kyrie Irving, Max Christie, but they went the other way. So Merez plays that 3-4 position, can shoot the shit out of it, and built like a linebacker. A little bit like, Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort, LeBron James, like that kind of build where, you're not really backing him down. He's physical. So what does that mean for PJ Washington, Najee Marshall, Daniel Gafford? We'll find out. But that's a big pick there for them, and I wouldn't be surprised if that meant future trades are coming. Already heard rumors of Klay Thompson moving to Miami. I don't think that's viable money-wise, but we'll get into that later. But ballsy pick there. I had Merez Johnson around that 15 mark, so well done. Braden Burries to the Milwaukee Bucks, and again, a lot of that was actually penciled in as Nate Ament. So I think if Burries was there, you had to take him, and they did. They've got Ryan Rollins and Tyler Hero, so Burries is most likely coming off the bench. And again, you wouldn't be shocked to see the Milwaukee Bucks, if they get a good offer for Hero or Rollins, to move off one of them to give Burries more chance to develop. But first year off the bench, you can do a bit of a Dylan Harper. It's not going to kill you. Golden State Warriors, Axel Landenberg from Michigan as well. And we thought he was either going 11 or 12, and it's a smart pick. I think a lot of teams are thinking, what would Sam Presti do from the Thunder? And they took Landenberg, which is a bit of that. You can learn from Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green and fill a bit of a void with a bit of energy shooting. And again, also built real strong. So not someone they're going to push around. So you've got the right vets in the group. But you just may not have enough talent when this squad gets down to the nitty gritty of it. 12, I think the whole league now hates the Thunder even more. They get a Daymara from Michigan. I had him projected at 8 just because I think the Hawks need a big man. But of course, the biggest challenger to the Spurs and Wemby now get a 7'3", basically Donovan Clingan. If I was the Spurs, I'd be so mad at the other 11 teams for allowing him to get selected there because that's just made Wemby's life that much harder. But parity-wise, it's good to see the OKC Thunder just load up on what they need. So they went and got Mara, and they that 7'3" giant, hasn't really got an outside shot, but will develop it. Great passer, great defender, and again, I'm not the only one that's saying, God damn, like they were going to get a good player regardless, but we were more hoping it was going to be Steinbeck or someone just a little less proven. But hey, if you put yourself in a position to have these picks and the other teams are drafting who they think is good, someone's going to fall. You're going to get someone good. 13 was the Heat. Now is the Bucks. They get Nate Ament here. Again, not my kind of guy. He's been comped to Jabari Smith, Kevin Durant. Cool. I don't see it. Again, hopefully he proves me wrong. But the Bucks get their guy along with Barry. So 2 young prospects to put next to Yakachunas, Jaime Jaquez, Khalil Ware, Ryan Rawlins. So there's actually real hope in Milwaukee now with these 2 picks, which makes that trade all the sweeter. 14, Charlotte Hornets. Hans Steinbach from Germany. Honestly, I had him mocked at 12 to the Thunder. I think if you're Charlotte, you're like, this is the best case scenario for us because they got to keep their 18th pick as well. I thought they were going to have to trade up to get someone like this. So, smart player, not the best shooter just yet. 18 threes in college, but still, he can always develop it. He's obviously, if you're making 18 in a year at college, you've got the talent. You just need the confidence and a bit more refinement. So, for the Charlotte Hornets, we said they needed a bit of a big. I think I may have had Kareem Lopez here in the mock, but either way, they get a great player there, high IQ, and I think it's a great pick all round, and I'd be so thrilled if I was a Charlotte Hornets fan. 15, Chicago Bulls, Dalen Swain. I was not familiar with your game, but now I've watched some YouTube clips after seeing him get selected this high, and holy shit, love him. Left-hander from Texas, doesn't have a great shot, bit of a Justice Winslow, but also gets, from my eyes at least, it's a bit of a Derek Jones Jr., Josh Hart player at the moment. It's he can always work on that shot, and the fact he's going to the Bulls kind of gives you straight up Jimmy Butler Jr., rookie vibes, where no jump shot, just all hustle and grit. So love that pick for the Bulls to go along with Caleb Wilson. They have a bit of a battle for minutes now, having selected Asenge last year, but they might just go a giant lineup with Giddey, Asenge, Buzelis, Wilson, Swain, Claxton. Like they've got options in this lineup now, so another great pick there. Good to see the Chicago Bulls doing smart things. 16 was Memphis. It's now Oklahoma. They've used a couple of seconds to move up a spot from 17 to 16. They get Bennett Sturts. Confident fella. Might be one of the better shooters in the draft. Good size, good IQ. And again, just a classic Thunder player. They targeted who they wanted. Will it work out or not? Who knows? Only time will tell, but they got their guy. And again, if they're selecting him, other teams must be like, oh, shit. 17 was the Thunder, then became the Grizzlies, and then ended up as the Detroit Pistons. A lot of trades here, but they get Ibuka Corey. I didn't see much of him in college, but he's a flamethrower off the bench in the NBA. In college, obviously started. I think he had 8 30-point games throughout the season, a career high of 40. Weird-looking jump shot in my mind. Some of his shots don't look like the greatest shots, but if he's that kind of presence off the bench, we all know that the Detroit Pistons needed a bit of scoring around Cade, and this guy is a good start at least, so can fill that void that, that packs that punch off the bench that isn't just Danis Jenkins. But we'll see how that works out for them. I'm sure they've got many more moves to come. 18, Charlotte Hornets, another brilliant pick. Christian Andersen Jr. Plays for the German national team. I love this guy. I had him mocked 15th. I thought he was well underdone when he was mocked at 23 or something like that. Self-pronounced best shooter in this draft. Time will tell. 6'1.5", but I think he had to play point guard all year. Averaged about a 7 assists a game. 7's pretty good in college. Good vision, especially out of pick and rolls. What his usage will be in Charlotte will be interesting, considering they've got LaMelo Ball, Conker Nipple, Brandon Miller, and Hans Stein back. List keeps going, but Kobe White, if they keep him. He might not have too many minutes and too many moments this year, but I think it's a great pick. And again, as a Heat fan, obviously we had to do the Giannis trade, but there were so many good options at 13 that, lick your lips kind of time. 19, Toronto Raptors, select Alan Graves. Not that familiar with his game, but looks quite good defensively and can definitely hit a shot. A bit of a 3-and-D linebacker, just to add to the Scotty Barnes kind of mold. So perfect for the Raptors. 20, Spurs. I think once they saw the Thunder get a Damara, they went Jaden Quaintance. High school, high up in that top 100 out of high school, but had a lot of injuries. To add another big man that they can get, and that's what we said. We said the Spurs needed shooting and another big man because Luke Cornett, as good as he was definitely getting picked on. They add another young big who will, if there's anyone to learn from, Wemby's pretty damn good. So that's a great pick there. Number 21 was meant to be Detroit. Turns out it's going to be the Grizzlies. They get Kareem Lopez. And I think that's great value at that slot. 21. I think it's around that Tyrese Maxey range now that we're getting to. So, you can get some good value here. Jaden McDaniels, Desmond Baines even later, like those kind of players that have made it big. This is that time of draft where you can get some diamonds in the rough. And Kareem Lopez going to Grizz, going to get all the chances in the world to show off his potential and what he can do. And I think for the Grizz, you got a bunch of future assets moving from 16 to 17 to 21, and you got the player you probably targeted. So, that front court with Coward, Lopez, Edie, Boozer, they've retooled pretty quickly here. 22, LeBaron Finland Jr. We always said there was going to be someone that slipped. I really like LeBaron, but apparently no one else did. So he fell all the way to 22, and I had him projected as high as 12 or 13. So, and I wasn't the only one. But he's fallen to Philadelphia, and again, this is where the Tyrese Maxey comparisons come in. Obviously, he's playing with Tyrese Maxey. This is about the range Tyrese Maxey fell. Obviously, a bit of a COVID draft, but I think you got great value there as a Sixer fan. You'd be so thrilled. Only thing that you would question is you had McCain, you traded him, and now you've added another guard. Is he going to get a chance to do anything? Is there going to be a bit more structure in Philly? Because right now it just seems to be Maxey or Embiid or nothing. And you've got Edgecombe, now you've got LeBaron, you've got Maxey, bits and bobs of George and Embiid. Great pick there. Hopefully gets a chance to play decent minutes. 23, the Hawks had to have a big man. Got one. Zuby, a year 4. I have no idea if I'm saying that right, but looks like a very strong big man. Think Pac-12, but could be wrong. Looks solid, and they needed a big man around Okongwu. And again, that's where I thought Mara made sense, but if you're going to get Kingston Flemings, why not? So let's hope Zuby is able to play alongside Okongwu now that Okongwu is shooting threes. Pick 24 was the Knicks. It is now the Lakers. And they got real value here. Cam Carr, good scorer for Baylor. Working on his 3. Really projected well, especially after the Combine where he dropped 30 in the first Combine game and never saw him again because he dominated that hard. So he's another one that fell. He was projected as high as 10 in some mocks, not mine. I had him about that 18 range. If you're the Lakers fan, you don't have your big man yet, but you've got another player that, not straight away, And you don't have a great record with picking around this range because Dalton Connect, he's wasting time on your bench. But he is there, ready to go, and will only get better playing around with Luka. 25 was meant to be the Lakers, then became New York, and finished up being the Mavericks, who select Sergio Delaria. Not familiar with his game, but again, if the Mavs are working their way up in this draft to get multiple stabs at it, they don't have their pick next year. It makes sense to try and get as many young players in and around Cooper as you can so they can all grow at the same time. Spurs, this is meant to be Denver at 26, but it became the Spurs, took Taris Reid Jr. 27 was meant to is the Boston Celtics, took Chris Sanak Jr. He was projected potentially just outside the lotto, so to get him at 27 would be thrilled as a Boston Celtic. Looks very much like solid around the rim. Obviously, if you got a 27, look, you must not be amazing around the rim. Didn't watch too many of his games, but look, good size. And if you're picking at 27, I think you'd be pretty happy there. 28, Brooklyn Nets, was meant to be Minnesota. The Nets take Joshua Jefferson. Again, we're starting to get to the point of the draft where if you're more of an NBA fan like me, watching so much tape gets to you. We're starting to hear some names that I've heard a few times talked about, but don't have a great idea of their game, sorry. Let's hope he's not another guard. I think he's more of a forward. Kings, meant to be Cleveland. The Kings take pick at number 29, get Alex Caravan, more of a shooter. And again, why not? Darius Acuff needs someone to pass the ball to. They still got Zach LaVine. I think DeMar DeRozan's been waived and stretched. Again, you got all those other younger players around. Still got Sabonis. So we'll see. I don't think Caravan will play extensively because Doug Christie doesn't seem to want to play anyone that's not, going to get them more than 20 wins. But hey, that development needs to happen at some point. So why not take a shooter? And lastly, this round, pick 30 was meant to be Dallas, then was New York, and then became the Phoenix Suns. Took Koa Pete. Years ago was projected a top 6 kind of pick, and then the back end of the dead last pick of the first round. Back to the basket kind of game. Not great foot speed. Decent defender, but not above average. No outside game. Again, for the Suns, you get 4 years of this guy pretty cheap at the back end of the first round. You might as well take a crack at him. But he needs to develop a lot of things, as does Milwaukee. Rasheed Flemings. So you've got some talent at least on that Suns roster, but again, I did some mock trades yesterday before the Giannis news. I'd be trying to get Anthony Davis if I was the Suns. So a few trades happened in that one. It all started obviously with the Giannis trade, 13 going to Miami. 13 from Miami to Milwaukee, and the Julius Randle trade where Minnesota were 28, then it became Brooklyn. The ones on the day was Thunder moving from 17 to 16, giving the Grizzlies 17 and 2 second-round picks. Then the Grizzlies moving from 17 to 21 for 3 extra second-round picks, so they gained plus 5 second-round picks just from moving down 5 spots. And getting Kareem Lopez, so they'd be thrilled with that. The next one was the Knicks moving from 24 to 25. They just got some cash. That's fair. Spurs going from 35 to 26. So they gave 2 second rounders to Denver. The Kings went from 34 to 29 with the Cavs to pick Caravan. The Cavs got a future second round pick and 34. And then the last one of this one that we have in front of us, the Suns went from 47 down to 30. And so the Mavs got 2 future seconds in that one. But a lot happened there. So look, great all round. A few of the shocks again. In my mock, had Mikal Brown at 5, Darius Acuff at 6, Wagler at 7. That just moved around a little bit. So Keaton went to 5, Mikal 6, Acuff was 7. Mara had an 8. He definitely did not go 8. He went 12. Kingston Fleming's 10. He went 8. Burry's 9. He went 10. But yeah, I did not have... I had Merez Johnson around that 15, 16 mark. He went at 9. So that was the biggest change there. Steinbach had him at 12. He went 14. And LeBaron Filan had him at 13. He went 22. Haven't seen Isaiah Evans yet, which is a shock to me. I think he's a great value pick. So he's the last one on the board that I think can really help a team from day one. So he's from Duke. Wouldn't be surprised whoever's got pick 31, 2 or 3, rip him off the board straight away tomorrow. Yeah, great day for most teams. Not too many teams that picked players that I thought, what the fuck are you doing? So really good to see some brain power, some not just fit, but yeah, just kind of like getting players that are going to help you, not now, but also not just now, but also in the future. As I said, the Bucks are going to have an interesting one with Burries, Rollins, and Hero. And then the Thunder getting Mara is just crazy, crazy value. But I would say your winners of today, of course, the top 4 picks: Wizards, Jazz, Grizzlies, Bulls. The fact that Bulls had 2 picks in the top 15 nailed them. Grizzlies had initially 2 in the top 16, traded down, they got value, they nailed their picks. Sacramento getting Acuff gives them some hope. Didn't love Atlanta's draft, but I can see the reasoning behind it. Dallas, let's hope Merez Johnson really, really pops for you. Loved what the Warriors did. Of course, got to love what the Thunder did. And so the winners to me are the Charlotte Hornets, getting Steinbach and Christian Anderson. But only time will tell. So going to have a quick break, and then we'll be back with free agency and more on the Giannis trade. All right, let's talk free agency. We've had a few moves already, but let's just highlight them. Ayo Dosunmu back to the Minnesota Timberwolves after the Julius Randle trade opened up that cap space. 5 years, 112 mil, player option at the end, average 22.5 a year. So pretty good. I'd say a win for both sides there, especially after Ayo dropped 40 points, I think against the Spurs, or maybe the Nuggets. Definitely the Nuggets. I thought some team might throw a crazy offer sheet at him, so I think Wolves will be happy there. Decent value for both sides. Good contract. Colin Gillespie, 4 years, $48 million, obviously average of 12. For the Suns, good point guard. Seemed to lose his way towards the end of the season, but was massive for them. Again, when you don't have any real first round picks as the Suns, a lot of your cap space is gone with the Bradley Beal deal. You've currently got Jalen Green, Devin Booker on the team. You got to keep your players in-house. So good deal. Again, a win for both sides. $12 million in this economy is definitely not bad for a starting point guard. But yeah, it's one of those deals that could potentially age really well for the Suns or horrifically. So keep an eye on that one. Jordan Goodwin also for the Suns. Way younger than I thought as well, by the way. Jordan Goodwin's 27. Colin Gillespie's 26. Jordan Goodwin, 3 years, 19 mil. Great off the bench. Hustle guy. Can hit threes, but yeah, more of your hustle glue guy. You could see him kind of fitting that Josh Hart mold. Good value on that contract for sure. And Diawara from the Knicks. I think this one says about 3 years, 10 mil. But it's unconfirmed at this point. The big one is Trae Young. Nearly 28, so in the prime of his career, but 4 years, 212, average of 53. Like, Jesus Christ, that's a terrible deal. Again, if there's any casuals out there saying, no, it's not, I mean, the Hawks literally struggled to get rid of him and had to trade him for Corey Kispert and CJ McCollum. I think that says all you need to know about the actual league and what the league actually values in winning. Yes, Brunson's a small guard, but Brunson actually tries and can defend. Trae Young doesn't try and does not defend. That's the difference. So Trae Young technically makes people better, but he dribbles the absolute air out of the ball. Like I'm sure he's a hell of a player, but look, I've watched him. I thought Miami Heat were getting him at one point, but it's just 53. Who are you competing against? I don't think you were competing against anyone except yourselves, and you lost. That's crazy. You had a staring contest with yourself and lost. It's crazy. 53 a year for a guard that's not an all-star anymore. Look, again, might prove us all wrong. Might come out and the Wizards are a 5 seed, and you're like, all right, I'll shut up. But if he's getting his stats and the team isn't winning, it's about where this will fall wrong. So I think he was projected to be about 4 years, 130 mil. So it's well and truly over that. So it's not a good value contract if he plays like he did, not last year, because last year was injuries and then told to sit out, but 2 years ago, it's going to look like a horrific contract. And again, if we ever do a worst contracts draft, it might be up there with the worst contract in basketball. But plenty of free agents available, such as LeBron James. Where is he going? Zach LaVine definitely will pick up his player option. We've got, James Harden, unsure what he's going to be doing. CJ McCollum has re-signed as well. But if we're talking about, say, Miami, after that wonderful trade, but as this was my biggest fear with the trade was the fact that what assets are we going to have left? None is the answer. You're going to have to go free agent hunting, and you have to be picking off the scrap heap. So this is a super important part of the offseason. I'm sure they've got plans, but I don't think they can actually afford, unless they can trade Jovic, I'm not sure they can afford to bring back Wiggins and Powell for the numbers they both deserve. So the only options are Wiggins takes a bit of a pay cut this year and makes up for at the back end of his contract. So they could start it at 20 and then backload it with a bunch at the end. Powell takes a bit of a pay cut and backloads the back end of that contract. It's short term, yay, and then long term, like, holy shit, what have we done if it ages poorly? It's crazy because Wiggins hasn't been that much of a massive player to me. I thought he's kind of been constantly overrated, but suddenly on this team, it's like, holy shit, he's the most important free agent we have. So, we need to lock him down, but already been ties to Chris Middleton. Kristaps Porzingis is a free agent. Probably can't afford him. Technically, John Collins is. What's he doing? We need shooting. No offense. Tobias Harris. Nah. Big one, though. Fernie Simons. He was playing with Boston, got traded to Chicago, got injured straight away. His last salary was about 25 mil. If we can get him for about 5 mil, I don't know how that would ever be allowed to happen in this league, but if we can get him for 5 mil, that would be a huge piece off the bench. It would be more guard play, not a great defender, but more shooting at least. And you could see what he did for Boston, and if he was still with Boston, Boston probably would have beaten the Sixers and gone further in the playoffs. Look, Fred VanVleet has a player option. He's gone back to Houston. Kuminga has a team option. We don't really need Kuminga. Vucevic, definitely can get him for cheap. He was making 20 mil last year. He's not going to make that this year. Of course, Harrison Barnes can get him for cheap. He probably wants to go back to San Antonio. But I would certainly say have a go at him. Powell was making 18 mil last year, but Norm was an all-star, so he probably deserves a massive pay increase. So that's why I think Miami's got to lose Norman Powell. Colin Sexton's a good one. He's making 17.5 last year, but he ended up on Chicago. He's a free agent. He'd be a good one to get for cheap. Zach Collins can technically shoot. Don't love that for us. Rui Hachimura, he was 17 last year. He's going to make more. He was a 41% three-point shooter. Bogdanovic got a club option or team option. That's going to get declined, I dare say, for the Clippers. What does he have left is going to be the interesting thing. Kevin Huerter's a free agent. I'm so sure we can get Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter, maybe Zach Collins, Colin Sexton, Fernie Simons. If we can re-sign Wiggins and get Chris Middleton, I mean, we're cooking. We're cooking. Kelly Olynyk didn't really play. Not sure you want to take him on, though he can stretch the floor. I'm not sure what he's got left. Kobe White's going to be too expensive. Matisse Thybulle, Aussie, great defender. It really improved his 3-point shot. If you could get him for cheap, definitely. Luke Kennard, I don't see why the Lakers wouldn't re-sign him. But yeah, if you can get him for cheap, I mean, he shoots the shit out of it. I don't think bring back Gabe Vincent. I don't think go get Brook Lopez. If you can get Quentin Grimes for cheap, sure, but no, that's not going to happen. DeAndre Ayton, no. Kevin Looney, no. Simone Fontecchio, no. We're starting to get to some other ones now, but Benedict Mathurin, too expensive. Zare Williams, no. D'Aaron Sharp, no. Dean Wade. Yep, technically, theoretically spaces the floor. Not really. He's probably looking at a minimum contract, though. Al Horford, too old. Jet Howard's out there. He technically, again, on paper, can shoot the shit out of it. So maybe take a chance on Jet Howard. Batum, no. Yabusele, maybe. Technically can shoot the 3. Is Bradley Beal out there? That might be a cheaper option. Kevin Porter Jr., Nick Richards can't shoot, but at least there's another backup big. Aaron Holiday, always liked Aaron Holiday. Point guard, good shooter. I think we should go get Aaron Holiday. Agbaji, sure. Let's take another chance at him. Jose Alvarado. The rest are kind of starting to look, maybe Gary Trent, but not really. I don't really trust that guy. Dougie McBuckets, Doug McDermott, also a free agent. Tim Hardaway Jr., free agent, but he played so well, he'll probably get a pay rise. Jordan Clarkson, probably go back to the Knicks. We don't really want Kyle Lowry, DeAndre Jordan, not really offering much. We need people that are actually going to contribute. Taurean Prince might be an interesting one. Another minimum player. As we go through, look, we're starting to get a bit thin here on options. You're starting to get to the Gary Paytons, Russell Westbrooks, Don Barlows. There's not much left here. Landry Shamet will go back to New York. Champagny will get a pay rise. We don't want Thanasis. Amir Coffey could be an interesting one. He's a left-hand shooter. He's not bad. Peyton Watson will definitely get a pay rise. Lindy Waters can shoot, but yeah. Highland, Blake Wesley, Keaton Wallace. Yeah, we're really hitting the scrap heap now. So we've still got Pele Larson, but look, if I was being for real right now, I'd say, look, go get the players that you can really definitely afford is like your Jamal Caines, your Jalen Wilsons, who can shoot, potentially Keon Ellis after Cleveland probably will let him go. But I think if you're being realistic on what you're going to get, you're probably getting a Doug McDermott, Agbaji, Holiday, around that realm. Beal, if he doesn't sign in, your Jet Howard. They're your realistic targets. I think if you're the Heat, I think you think, look, we can get Kevin Huerter on a min, Bogdan Bogdanovic on a minimum, probably close for the minimum for Sexton. I mean, who's going to get him other than us? Barnes, Vucevic, Fernie Simons, and Middleton. And that'll round out your roster. I won't say it rounds it out nicely, but it rounds it out. So at least you've got all shooting there, no defense. But your defense is coming in Wiggins, Antetokounmpo, and Bam. So there's some options. It's probably 10 reasonable options for the Heat. I'm not sure they've got any assets to make a trade, so the only other things they can do is sign and trades. So unless someone wants to sign and trade for Norm Powell or Andrew Wiggins, not looking great for the Heat here. So I think it's going to be more a second-year move. I don't think we have a chance in hell of winning the championship this year. Going to be fun to watch. I'm going to have an identity of defense, but I don't think there's honestly, no chance in hell we win the championship this year. It's that second year when your cap moves up, a few other players just come for cheap, vet minimums that you aren't expecting or buyouts. They're the players that suddenly make you in a championship team. Like, not that buyouts ever win anyone a championship, but just, an extra 10 minutes off the bench in the playoffs, makes a world of difference there. So, that trade's still amazing to me. The fact we got Bobby Portis, it did hard cap us at the first apron, but Potential six man of the year. Has ranginess with the shooting and can obviously get a bit crazy at times. Good to have him on the team. Other than that, we'll keep you updated with the deals that go on. There's been a bit of backlash about the Julius Randle deal. Apparently, Anthony Edwards is not thrilled about that one. Understandable. That was technically your second best player, but I don't think you'd be mad about losing him. You got Sunmu back. You've got DiVincenzo in the books, but he's got a torn Achilles. And I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota was starting to be like, all right, we've got to maybe strip this down and start fresh. So you start to look at your Rudy Gobert's. Did they move him on? Other than that, does Naz Reid stay? He's a crowd favourite, but he had a pretty horrendous year last year. I wouldn't be surprised to see one of them stay, but not both. So Jade McDaniels is pretty much a lock to stay. But yeah, Anthony Edwards is probably going to have to struggle. Probably going to have to struggle to... Anthony Edwards is just going to have 1 year like the Heat, where you're just not in it. And then the next year you gear back up as well. So the Nets have plenty of cap space theoretically, but once they kind of sign everyone, that'll diminish. But again, with this new lottery rules, there's no reason to lose. So a lot of these teams will just genuinely be actually trying to win for the first time. So I love that. Always more competitive. But can we see some? The big one is Boston. Like, what are we going to see out of that? Jaylen Brown is almost certainly gone. That's the hard part. You know that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum work together because they won the championship in 24. So you know it's a combo that works, which is really hard to break up. But if Jaylen Brown wants his own team, and who knows what's getting said behind closed doors, does he get traded for Trey Murphy and other parts? Technically, it's a downgrade on paper, but maybe the fit is a little bit, as good as you're going to get if you're losing Jaylen Brown. And of course, not many people would know Trey Murphy's game because he's stuck in New Orleans and they suck. So I don't think you're going to get Zion. Not that you really want him, always injured. But yeah, if you're the Celtics, I think your best case scenario is Evan Mobley or Kawhi Leonard for Jaylen Brown. There'll be some other machinations of the trade, so don't worry, it's not just a straight up trade, but they're your options as a Celtics fan. If as best case scenario, worst case scenario is probably getting the Warriors deal, which is Jimmy Butler, who's injured with an ACL, and 4 first rounders. Cool. Might reset your cap sheet, but it's basically the same team. That's what I don't get about the Celtics, so just quietly, is this year was meant to be a write-off year. They were meant to be as bad as the Indiana Pacers, and then when they came up short and lost in the first round, mind you, they were up 3-1, but now it's considered a poor year, a failed year. I don't really understand where the expectations changed. I think it's a bit harsh on the whole team, honestly. I thought, if you're having an off-season like that where you're kind of blowing it up, resetting your cap sheet, no Porzingis, Horford, no Cornet, no Holiday. To now say it was a fail, I thought, no, I think it's actually a massive success. But yeah, Brad Stevens and Joe saw it differently. So we'll see if they can mend that Jaylen Brown fence. But if not, there's going to be some interesting trades going up. I think the most interesting is if the Spurs, obviously the Clippers, but if the Spurs suddenly say, screw it, and they go get Jaylen Brown for De'Aaron Fox and picks, that'd be quite the interesting package for Boston, because it doesn't quite make all the sense in the world, and yet it does. Because if you can go De'Aaron Fox, Derek White, Jason Tatum, I'm sure I'm missing people, but Hugo Gonzalez and Baylor Scheinman and whoever else they get, like it's actually a pretty good lineup. Takes the ball out of Tatum's hand a little bit. But I think if you can get De'Aaron Fox while he's got low value and a bunch of assets from the Spurs, it's not a bad deal. And for the Spurs, I don't know why they would do it, because long term it's really going to handicap you having 4 max players on your team. But if you're going to go for it, might as well. You don't know how many years you've got of Wemby before, hopefully he doesn't get injured, but we've never seen a 7'5" alien survive in this league for too long. So hope he breaks that trend. But if he doesn't, you might as well try and go for the win now. So I think we're going to wrap it there. We will be back probably not after the second round of the draft. It's starting to wane on my knowledge by the second round of the draft usually. But any off-season moves, free agency, trades, we'll wrap that up in about a week. Summer League starts in 2 weeks. So look, we'll definitely be back by there. But probably see you in a week to talk about anything and everything that we've seen from the NBA, all the transactions, off-season moves, all the tea that's spilled, and everything else that goes along with this beautiful sport, beautiful game. We never get enough content out of it, that's for sure. So thanks for listening, and we will, hopefully your team got better, but we will see you next time.